Welcome to a training for the U.S. Technical Advisory Group, TC 347, Data-Driven Agri-Food Systems. This is going to be a very high-level presentation on what you should expect from ISO and your participation, and the various levels of participation that you might choose to join in. So if you do have any questions, I am always available at walsh@asabe.org, and we'll have that email up later on in the slide deck. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions as they might arise during your participation in TC 347. So let's get started. So first of all, it's important to know that the ISO process is very centered on the hierarchy, who's responsible for what, and the very specific directions that have been laid out, the directives, as I note here on this slide, ISO Directives Part 1 and ISO Directives Part 2, as well as the ISO Code of Conduct. Everything centers around these three documents. The first, ISO Directives Part 1, is how the technical committees and the subcommittees are set up, how they operate, how they communicate with each other. ISO Directives Part 2 are how a standard is actually set up in template form, and most likely there's going to be some adjustment to that in reference to the new Online Standards Development Platform, OSD as it's referred to. The third part of this hierarchy is the ISO Code of Conduct, which is very strictly laid out to encourage respect and consideration of all participant comments and contributions to the ISO process. In here, I have just the pyramid of authority that we tend to follow. So under ISO, in relation to the technical committees and subcommittees, is the Technical Management Board, often referred to as TMB. They oversee all of the technical committees and subcommittees, as well as actually approving of their formation based on the requirements for voting by the member bodies. So each member body is a country, is representing a country. It's not representing ASABE. It's not representing your company. It is representing an actual country. In our case, obviously, it's representing the US. Each TC or SC has a secretariat, a responsible country that generally will provide the nomination for an international chair who oversees the entire international committee, and a committee manager, a high-level administrator of the technical committee or the SC. Under the committee manager comes the member bodies. That would be the country representatives. They are also referred to oftentimes in ISO language as the National Standards Body, or NSB. They are the member. And then underneath the National Standards Body, there's going to be an accredited administrator that manages the connection between the national member body, standards body, and the mirror committee. The mirror committee is the group of each country's group members. They're gathered members and experts on the specific topic that you're focusing on. So getting back to the Secretariat, each ISO technical committee does have a sponsoring country called the Secretariat. They provide the funding support and generally the international chair and committee manager. The ISO technical committees are approved by a vote of all member countries in ISO. So that is, I believe, slightly under 50 countries, possibly a bit more. They have to have a 2/3 vote of all of those member countries approving the formation of a new technical committee. This is very important because these committees need to be started with a member body commitment of participation. So, for example, if you have your 2/3 approving, you need to have a good number. I believe it's a minimum of 5 countries that say we will participate in this work. This result is then reviewed by the Technical Management Board, and they look at all of the application information and the resulting vote, and they make final approval of the technical committee or subcommittee itself, as well as the scope that it's going to be operating under. Now, the big, I guess, aspect of the ISO is that it's one country, one vote. So the largest country has just as much or as little influence as the smallest country. It really is going to depend on the experts who are participating for that individual country and how active they are in any discussions or development. So to develop the one vote for the country, a member country has a mirror committee made up of experts on the topic who review and discuss the drafts that are under development or any other questions that might come up for that country. And they put forth and agree upon any comments to present on behalf of the country interests at each stage of development or for any question. In the US, the Mirror Committee is referred to by ANSI as the Technical Advisory Committee, or TAG, so you'll hear that often. Different countries may have some different titles for these committees, but when we're speaking internationally about your committee, it's best to refer to it as a mirror committee for the best understanding, especially if you're speaking to someone from another mirror committee or another country. If you reference TAG, they may not know what you're talking about. In the US, the Mirror Committee, as I noted, is under the authority of the American National Standards Institute, also known as ANSI for its acronym. ANSI is the member body. They are the member to ISO, not ASABE, as I stated, but ANSI is. ANSI accredits a national standards developer to administer specific mirror committees within their interest areas for the International Technical Committee or Subcommittee on their behalf. So basically, ASABE has applied for and is designated through the approval of ANSI to monitor and administer the specific technical committee for TC 347. When the U.S. delegation participates in a plenary meeting, therefore, we identify ourselves as representing ANSI. If you're asked, you can also identify who your employer is or what other affiliation you have, but generally we represent ANSI. So the American Society of Agricultural and Biological Engineers, ASABE, is the accredited standards developer for the U.S. Mirror Committee TC 347, as I stated. The ASABE Technical Committee that monitors the ISO work is Applied Science and Engineering, ASE 347, and US TAG TC 347, Data-Driven Agri-Food Systems. This is within the ASABE Engage platform. So when emails are sent out, they will be addressed to ASE 347 and US TAG TC 347, specifically because I want to keep reminding you of where you're going to find the information on the Engage platform, which will be under ASE 347. The US TAG chair is Brent Kemp. He is the CEO of Ag Gateway, and the US administrator is myself, Jean Walsh, and I am an administrator with ASABE. So I wanted to just give you some sense of how things work between ASABE, the interface between ISO and ANSI. Because as I said, there's a hierarchy on how the information is communicated to us, how we communicate it to you, and how it goes right back up the chain. So let's start at the very beginning here. The MIRA committee is under ANSI authority. ASABE is designated as the accredited standards developer. The TAG chair and the ASABE administrator will process and prepare any information that comes down from ISO or ANSI on behalf of the TAG. Information from ISO is then communicated to the TAG members via an email, generally from myself, the administrator. The U.S. position is determined by the responses of the experts on the committee. So the responses would be voting on a ballot or comments on questions that are posted to the experts. The TAG members or experts respond to the ballot or to the email notification. And all of the comments are then reviewed first by the administrator and the chair. And if necessary, we would hold a call to have a conversation with all of our interested experts so that they can all be certain of what the U.S. position is. When there is a ballot, which we have not had yet, or when we expect to have those down the road, where there are a number of comments on behalf of the U.S., we'll want to get the experts together because some of the comments may be duplicated. Some of them may be more relevant than others. And there will be a small handful of members who will be representing the U.S. on the international stage, and they have to understand what the comments address and the purpose behind them, their motivations, so that they can express those on behalf of the U.S. in the international meetings. So if you are commenting, just know that if we have one of these calls, you will be expected to show up and explain your comment possibly so that others can communicate it properly. So once we've reviewed comments, then the U.S. MIRA Committee or the TAG determines, like I said, what comments are submitted, and they determined the U.S. vote. We get one vote. Everyone needs to agree. Is this going to be an approve vote, a disapprove vote, or will the U.S. abstain on the question? And then the U.S. position is submitted to ANSI for registration. ANSI will register it under their name. So in the development of an ISO standard, there is a very structured process. It is, again, identified in the directives part 1 with specific timelines and options that also come with this development. But we're going to look at just the basic steps that you will be seeing as we go through some of the development process in TC 347. The first official step is a ballot for a new project or an NWIP, a new work item proposal. So it's going to be a new proposal, new work item proposal. And that is presented in ballot form with a draft or an outline that all of the members on the MIRA committee will get to review and put their vote in on. Do they support it? Should the U.S. support it? Should the U.S. not support it? And again, it's should the U.S. support, not should you support, but the U.S., because we have to come together with that one vote. Once a project is approved, then the clock starts, and you'll see this referred to later on, and there is a maximum 3-year development period. It could be 18 months, 24 months, or 3 years. So there's a maximum of 3 years to develop a new standard. It goes into what's called a working draft stage, and you have a working draft under development by experts who volunteer to get together in a working group to parse out the comments that have been submitted and refine the draft. Once the working group has refined the working draft to their satisfaction, then it is presented to the committee as a committee draft. And this is going to be not a ballot, but a review period where comments are requested. This is a perfect time for everyone else who has not been in the development process to really start picking apart that standard, looking for areas that need to be clarified, maybe restructured, more technical comments that have not been included. You want to put them in, hopefully, at the CD level, because that is one of the most important times to develop the technical aspects of a draft. Once the CD is refined, it is then submitted for a draft international standard, a DIS. And that is going to be the absolute last opportunity that any country gets to submit any technical comments that are going to change the draft in a significant way. So it's very important. Again, CD is the best time to make those technical comments at your first real country look at a standard, but DIS is your final opportunity. So you do need to take the time to review the document again and note, was the comment that you submitted last time accepted? Was it incorporated? If it was accepted but not incorporated, now's the time to say, hey, wait a minute, you missed something. So it's very important to take the required action as a participant in the US TAG at these various steps. Once the DIS is completed, if there were no technical comments made, then the standard goes directly to publication. If there were comments made, then the standard is presented again as a final draft international standard, during which any of those remaining technical comments have been incorporated, and the committee gets to look at it one last time to decide if the US is going to support the publication of that standard. And then again, if it is approved, it goes to the actual publication. Now, I mentioned working group in the development of the standard itself. So once a standard project is approved, a working group is developed, and they have a special site on the ISO portal, which we'll visit in a little bit. A convener is assigned to the working group. The convener can also be the project leader if there's a single project. But if there are more than one project, sometimes you have separate project leaders. So I have separated it out in this slide as if we have two projects that are active, with a convener not leading a project, but overseeing the process for both projects. Being a convener is a big responsibility, because you do need to keep tabs on what the projects are, where they are in the development. Are the project leaders needing some assistance? Do they need some guidance on how to lead a project, how to get meetings scheduled, and how to develop the process itself? And within each project, within the working group, we will seek volunteers from all of the country mirror committees, the participating countries, asking for experts to sign on to this working group. This is an additional commitment. Most working groups are going to meet virtually for, I would say, probably 97% of the time. There may be a physical meeting scheduled in alignment with a plenary meeting. So the working groups might meet prior to an annual plenary meeting somewhere in the world. They may not. They may only meet virtually. Just really depends on the activities and who's able to participate in them. So the default is virtual. And as I mentioned, the clock starts as soon as, like, the date, when I say as soon, the date that that new project is approved is the start of the clock. And you have exactly 3 years to get that finished in the different levels of development. So we've talked about the development, the general hierarchy, but how do you get involved in this? Those of you who are on, most of you already are involved, but some of you are just sitting in to find out what is part of this whole ISO participation bit. So membership in ASAB is not required to participate, but it is recommended to be involved in the ISO work. There are costs and benefits to ASAB membership on our website, which is easy to find. And either way, whether you participate as an ASABE member or not, certain contact information is required in order to add you into our database and give you access to our Engage platform. So there is a form that I ask to be filled out if you do not expect to have ASABE membership. You can always start as a non-member and move into membership if you like. Membership, some dues that are approximately $200 per year, I believe, do help pay for the work that we do. And our goal in reaching out to you is to help raise your awareness of the work that's going on internationally and nationally to support agriculture and trade. The more diverse our participants are, the better our single vote will be, the more robust our comments will be. So if you see something happening in this group that you feel colleagues might benefit from or wish to participate in, please don't hesitate to pass that along and provide my contact information. I'm happy to talk to anyone about how to participate and where they may fit in, because this group itself is going to be growing exponentially very quickly. All of our participants are volunteers in their field of expertise. And so as an administrator, I will do my best to provide as much information and support as possible to respect the value of your expertise and your commitment to the projects. So participation options, if you do opt to participate with the Mirror Committee for TC 347, we have 2 levels in ASABE. There's the voting members, where you actually make a commitment to actively participate in the reviewing of documents, providing feedback, and helping with the vote of the U.S. position. This also includes participating in our few meetings that we hold during the year. Observing members have access to all of the documents, and you may also review any of the drafts that are coming down and provide comments for consideration of the U.S. position, but you're not required to. If you do provide comments and we have a call to review those comments, I do ask that you participate if at all possible so that you can defend your comments and hopefully they can be moved into the U.S. position. So I wanted to break down the various levels of commitment so that you had an idea of where you can start and where you can go in ISO. So as I pointed out, observing status on the tag, level 5, that's the lowest level, no commitments, but you'll get some emails and information. And you can check those out as your time allows. The next level is voting status on the tag. This means that when there is a voting question, whether it's a ballot for review or just a question, you are expected to respond. If we have a tag meeting, you would be expected to participate in that as well, as long as that is able to fit into your schedule. We want to hear from you. We need your expertise. We need a wide variety of expertise, but we really want you to be active only on the national level. We're going to be talking in the next few slides about the actual time commitments because I know that's a big question. Moving up to level 3, we're going to start with the voting status on the tag. You need to be a voting member. and you have all those related expectations. But then you can also commit to being a member of a working group, an ad hoc group, which is a preliminary working group, or an advisory group. Whether you are on any of those, you need to be the voting member as well. Observing members are not eligible to work in the ISO level. And on level 3, you're going to be interacting with experts from around the world on these virtual meetings in whatever topic it is that you select from the working group, ad hoc group, or advisory group. Now, level 2, you're going to be voting status on the tag. And then you are also going to be committing to be the international project leader or convener of an ISOTC working group. We saw that convener in the previous slide with project leaders under that. You may be the convener and project leader together in one. So this is a huge commitment of time and expertise. And we'll, like I said, look at some of the time commitments in a moment. Level 1 is the international chair. This is the person who's interfacing with the committee manager and the technical program manager who assists the committee manager and watches over the entire international committee. This is not the person who interfaces directly with the tag. They are a member of the tag, but they're not leading the tag. They're just another member of the tag, but they do provide leadership to the entire international group. So here's a little bit of write-up on the various commitment levels. So you have some participation ideas. So level 5, if you are interested in something that's come through your email, you may have an annual commitment of a couple of hours once or twice a year total. So it might be I'm skimming through the document. It might take me 30 minutes. I have no comments. That's it. There might be another document that you do have some comments on, and you will submit those comments. That might take you an hour. So again, it's wherever it fits into your schedule and there are no other commitments. If you're looking at level 4, the voting status, because we're talking total commitment in a year of attending maybe 2 or 3 tag meetings, which would be most likely virtual for a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there. And then you might commit an hour or 2 to reviewing a couple of documents during the year. So right now we're just getting started with that sort of activity. So it might be maybe 10 hours the first year or 2, ramping up a little bit depending on how much activity there is that is in your area of expertise. When we go to level 3, now you're into the working group, the international meetings, and some of those meetings take place virtually every 3 to 4 weeks. So you may have a meeting every 3 weeks for 2 hours. It might happen early in the morning. It might happen late at night. It really depends on when it's scheduled and where you're located. For those in the US, generally they're very early in the morning because we like to be able to coordinate with our partners in Asia where it's a 12-hour difference. So the people in China, Japan, and Korea tend to stay up very late for these meetings. And so we take the sacrifice of getting up very early. Our European participants generally fit it in after lunch. Then we move up to level 2. As I mentioned, the convener is overseeing projects as they're developing, and there's a lot that goes into that. They may be overseeing the actual project. They may be overseeing several projects within the working group. So that can be quite a hefty commitment of time. And I estimated 40 to 100 hours per year simply because it really depends on the projects, the frequency of meeting, the level of expertise that's needed on the behalf of the convener in participating in those. Level 1 is the international chair. Now, Andreas Ferreira is our international chair. He is representing ANSI with the secretariat being Germany or DIN. And he puts in way more hours than any human being probably any other human being probably would, as he's trying to help us gel his ideas and our ideas together in this huge project. So again, if anyone becomes the international chair, it has to be with a lot of support from their company, in which Andreas does have excellent support from his company right now to allow him to do this. So generally, a person will start small, usually as an observing member, and as their interest builds, then they become much more active. And having participated in ISO at the working group level for quite a number of years, it is really an enjoyable experience. The commitment of taking a couple of hours every few weeks for the call is not that big, but the people that you meet while doing it are fabulous. And I think that is the greatest benefit that anyone gets from it. So now I want to jump to communications. The ISO tag communications will all happen with Engage. Engage is a communication platform that ASABE uses for all of its technical committees. So any emails I send out will go through the Engage platform. And in order to download any links to the information that is either attached to the email or in our library, you will need to log into the Engage platform. We're going to show you briefly how to do that. So as a participant, once I get your data in our database, you will be given login credentials, either as an ASABE Society member or as a non-society member. And I will show you where you can find video tutorials on the main page that will walk you through the setup and how to move through the platform. So that should be the first thing you do once you become active in this committee, if you haven't already. So as I said, it's where all the documents will be posted. I generally will put a link to the Engage platform as well as a link to the actual document you can download within the email, so you don't have to be hunting or searching for anything. It's going to be right there in your email. But it's also the platform where all our balloting will take place. And again, in the email I send you will be a link to the Engage platform, so you can log in with your credentials, and there will also be a link once you log in directly into your ballot. Now we are going to move from the slide deck to the portal, ISO portal, and to the Engage site. So let's start with Engage. So here I have the ASABE website pulled up. It's asabe.org. And I'm going to log in here. This is how I get in, because once you log into the ASABE website, you are automatically logged into Engage. Being that I'm an administrator, I'm on both of these all day long. But you can also go into the Engage platform specifically through that link that I put into any emails. So once you're on the platform itself, this is our landing page. It's not real pretty, but this is what we have. And if you look down here, we have some quick links. Here are those video tutorials that I told you about. So the first thing I want you to do once you get through, there is let me see, terms and conditions page, which will come up if it's your first time. You go to the bottom, you accept, and it will take you to the home page. So before you do anything else, I want you to scroll down, go to video tutorials. That will open up in a separate YouTube playlist. And I am going to, I don't want this to start, but we have a whole list of short videos that start with your actual account setup. How do you find your committees, setting your email preferences, et cetera, et cetera. You'll want to do at least the first three. You'll also want to look at the library, how to download from the library. and also how to post a document to the library would be helpful. If you go down here, it tells you how to vote on a ballot. It also tells you how to see a variety of committees, and this is a 12-minute, really quick run through everything. So if you only have 10, 15 minutes, go through the run through. And if you have even less than that, take your time and just do one of these at a time. Again, they are found right on the home page under video tutorials. So I am going to go up here and put in 347 and take you actually to the page. As an administrator, I have a list of 300 committees. You will have whatever committees you are linked to in ASABE from this drop-down menu. So I do mine through a search. Here is going to take me to the actual page that is dedicated to TC 347. Notice the ASE that I talked about earlier. ASE 347, it's in the ASE community of ASABE and US tag TC 347. This is how you know you're at the right place. This email address is what I use to send a communication to everyone. If you wanted to send an email to everyone, you can either use this in your Outlook or whatever platform you use, or you can go to Threads and start a new thread, which is again an email that will go to everyone. Here you see a listing of emails that have gone out. So if you're new, you can always go back and look at those. This indicates there was an attachment that you can download. And all attachments and downloads are placed in the library. So if you go to the library, we have a slew of folders that you can open up. If you see the little plus sign, it tells you that there are subfolders underneath. End documents are the documents that are sent out from ISO through ANSI and ASABE, and I post them here with a link so that you can log in through the link to engage and then click on the link and it will take you directly to the document, which you can then download. Very easy to do, and as you see, there are quite a number of pages here. But don't hesitate to poke through here and see what some of the titles are. So if we were to post a ballot, you see this tab here that says Workspace. This is where you will find any ballots that will need your direct vote. I've sent out a lot of what I call email ballots because they're pretty standard. Do you approve of us having a liaison with this committee? Sure, we do. The more communications we have, the better. So here, the first tab that comes up are going to be documents that I post to reference. But what you really want to do is go down to ballots, and that will open up any ballots that are either closed, which you can still see any of the information that is in a closed ballot. You can go and download any of these items that were discussed in that ballot, and you can read the ballot if you want to for your interest. Going back, there is currently an open ballot. This is to approve, you see this NP, a new project. So I'm going to open that ballot. I am not eligible to vote. So you see ineligible. If you are an observing member or a liaison, you will not be eligible to vote. If you are a voting member, you will be able to upload any comments here or to vote. And here we have when it opens, when it closes. We have a description of what's going on, how to download a comment template. Here's a comment template to download. Here are directions on how to use it, as well as up here we have directions. And we have a form that's the application for a new project. And this here is the actual draft that is going to be the start of the working document. If anyone has voted, you will see them in voting details. We have 2 people who have already voted. And we have a number of people who have yet to vote. And that is all available to everyone who is participating in the committee at all times until the vote closes, and you can still go in and see the results. So those are the basics of the Engage platform. Again, going to the home, you will find the tutorials. Please take advantage of that. So the next thing I want to show you quickly is the ISO portal. And I have this saved as one of my bookmarks because, again, I'm in there a lot. When you are participating in an advisory group, an ad hoc group, or a working group, you will then be registered by me through the ISO portal. And that will give you access to the documents for that specific group that you've been authorized for. Now, as an administrator, I'm authorized for a lot of documents or a lot of committees, so don't be shocked by that. So what you would do is you would select documents, and that will show you only the groups that you are registered with. So those are the only groups that you will have access to. And I am going to slide on down here to TC 347 and let me grab one that I am on, which is the Greenhouse and Controlled Environment. Here are documents that have been posted for the ad hoc group that's developing a draft to be presented for a new project. You see here all the meetings that have taken place over the past year as we have been working on that. They meet approximately every 3 to 4 weeks. They have their meeting minutes posted, etc. If I wanted to download any of those documents, I would go to committee documents. Again, only those groups you are registered with. We wait a few minutes and then you just select which documents you would like. You would select download. And hopefully it works. There we go. And the download has happened. And I would open this up. And here we go. These are the documents that I downloaded. I can save those to my computer. For working groups and ad hoc groups, I do not send those out. For the main committee, I do send those out. So let's go back to the main committee quickly. These are all of the documents that I post to the group, to the tag. And so those are numbered. They start with an N, but you can see the numbers here, and there are 333 right now. But you can access all of these in the Engage platform. Because I have access, you don't, I give you access through the Engage platform. We also have a lot of ballots that we've had, and then there are some meetings that we've had both virtually and in person. This is the meeting that is coming up in March. So another aspect of the ISO platform, if you are in a working group or an ad hoc group or an advisory group, you will have to register for any meetings that you're going to participate in. So there is a special link from the main page to meetings, which I'm trying to open now, and it will show you all meetings that you have access to. In this case, here's an ISO TC 347 Ad Hoc Group 8. So you would click on that. In this case, I am registered. So it would say register up here. You would select that and you are representing ANSI and you would select register. Once you're registered, you get to see how many other people are participating and who they are. So here you see from Brazil, from France, from the US, from UK, from Jamaica, Germany, and then various liaisons. Here's Japan, Netherlands, Canada, Spain, all represented on this one working group. And again, it's a lot of fun. So consider that if you find one of these groups that is of interest to you. So that is the list of participants. Once you have registered, you have access to the link. In this case, it's a Teams link. Sometimes it's a Zoom link. In order to get on the call, you would log in and you would come down and you would click that link and it would open up the link to the actual call. Here you have the date, and you can also click on time zones. So based on where you personally are located, it will tell you what time that meeting is going to take place. You are responsible for putting that reminder yourself in the calendar. It's not going to give you, well, here it does have one you can add to the calendar. That's a newbie. It didn't used to have that. So I can download that and add it to my calendar. So here's the, see if it's opening. Not sure where that's going right now. So we're going to be done with that. Anyway, that is a quick walk through the Engage page and the um, ISO portal. So now we are going to jump back, cancel that. We are going to jump back to our slideshow. And I wanted to show you that we do have the addresses, the URLs for ASAB homepage and the Engage homepage up here, as well as the portal itself. Now, if you've come this far, you've finished your online training, and there is an action that you are required to do to verify that with me. Take a screenshot of the QR code. That should open up an email to me. If it doesn't, you've got my email address here, and you can let me know that you have completed the training. And once I receive that email from you, I will send you a document that has all of the necessary links that we had in this training, as well as some additional ones. So I will be sending you the ASABU website. I will be sending you the Engage platform. I will be sending you the portal, as well as links to all of the directives and to the code of conduct, as well as my email address and Brent's. So you have everything you need to get started. So again, I want to thank you for the time that you took to be with us, and email me if you have any questions whatsoever, because that's what I'm here for. Thanks again. Hope to hear from you.